It's Ghost in the Shell week with the live action movie opening this week. Finally, after months and months of people bitching about it and trailers coming and it looking exactly like the anime, but not exactly like the anime. I still have many thoughts that are hard for me to parse through, and I'm still pretty conflicted about this movie in general. So I thought I would spend some time and spit it out here before I actually go see it, because I figure I've talked so much shit about it without actually having seen it yet that I should probably go see it and actually judge the film as a film. But until then, I have thoughts that I wanted to get out that are many and confused and kind of not fully formed quite yet. So I think, in general, I think if this film came out in the 90s when Ghost in the Shell was still really popular and people were just really excited about anime and manga and getting into it and looking for anything that they could, if this film came out in that era, it wouldn't look as pretty as it does now because the special effects are not up to snuff and costuming wasn't as sophisticated as it is now. Like, Scarlett Johansson is wearing a fully rubber suit. That's amazing. So I think the film would not have looked as good as it does now, or appears to now, but I don't think anyone would have had a problem with her being cast as the Major, because, you know, it would have been amazing that there was a live action version of it anyway, and people would have been like, oh my god, this is amazing, Ghost in the Shell. This is crazy, an American studio making an anime into a live action movie, this is amazing. But it's the new millennium, and many of us Asian Americans or Asian people in general who live here have gotten really frustrated with the lack of representation. There's very few of us in comic book movies, even though a lot of us Asian American nerds are way into comic book movies. There's not a whole lot of representation there. So we're frustrated. So when a property that many of us have always considered to be like super Japanese, super Asian comes along and we see very few of us represented on screen, you might understand why many people are pissed off that Scarlett Johansson was cast. So I have conflicting feelings over this, because I'm not really mad at Scarlett Johansson until they give her a Black Widow movie. She's gonna take any movie where she's gonna take any role where she gets to punch people and kick people and blow up things. That's just gonna happen. So when the script comes across her desk and she sees the Major going and kicking the shit out of stuff, hell yeah, take that. It's gonna be amazing. So I'm not necessarily mad at Scarlett Johansson for taking the role. And here's where it gets really conflicting for me. And this is from observation. So I'm not a very academic person. I don't study anime and manga and as a profession or in a scholarly fashion. So this is all observational from my point of view, from my personal point of view. But in manga and anime lately, there seems to be the trend of self-erasure. And by that, I mean a lot of the characters that are popular in anime and manga now don't look Japanese at all. Like Naruto, who lives in a hidden ninja village, does not look Japanese at all. If you made a live-action Naruto film, you'd be hard-pressed to find a Asian kid who was born with orange hair. One of the few people in his village who actually looks Asian is Sasuke. But like if a live action Naruto film came out and they had some random white kid as Naruto, it would make sense. Same thing with a film or a series like Attack on Titan. It's set in Europe. There's like one Asian chick. So when the live action version of that came out in Japan, to me it looked really weird. It's like this doesn't make any sense. This should be a lot of white people in this movie. Let's see. Cowboy Bebop, Spike Spiegel. I know a lot of people were moaning and groaning when Keanu Reeves expressed interest in playing Spike. But if you've seen John Wick, I think we all know that Keanu Reeves has the skills. You put a big funky wig on his head, he's good to go. Trigun, same thing. That was really popular in the 90s, around the same time Ghost in the Shell was coming out. So like, I don't know why this is, because when manga and anime were first coming out, like Osamu Tezuka was drawing very Japanese stories like Blackjack and Mighty Atom, things like that. But lately, you don't see a whole lot of Japanese people in the anime. And I don't know why that is. I guess it's, so we have to remember that anime and manga are generally focused, targeted to a Japanese audience, which for the most part is pretty homogeneous. I had a art professor in college who said that, like, it was an Asian art class, and he said, you know, there's no line for eye color or hair color on a Japanese license because it's all the same. So, you know, if your audience is homogenous and they all look the same, dress the same, speak the same language, it might be interesting for you to see different people on the screen and in your entertainment. And if you want to see Japanese heroes doing Japanese things, just watch Kamen Rider or Super Sentai. Very Asian. There are very few non-Japanese people cast in those shows, so you see it every week. But you know, in manga and anime, you can explore and cast whoever you want, and seeing non-Asian faces in there might make it more interesting for them. Again, this is all observational. I haven't studied any of this. I'm not an ethnologist. I don't know anything about, you know, I haven't done any academic study. This is just my personal observation. But from personal observation, it seems to me that there, in anime and manga, there seems to be a general acceptance that of non-Asian faces. So of course, when they see Scarlett Johansson cast in this movie, they're going to be excited because she kind of, sort of, could look like what the anime does and the manga does. So people have been sending me that video. I get it. Yes, of course. They love white people. Fuck it. I get it. But for us, who have grown up surrounded by non-Asians, it's disappointing when something you think of as being inherently Japanese is changed on its head. And it's just another big disappointment in a continuum of disappointments for Asian nerds, because on the one hand, it's great that all this stuff is coming out. Like, we see the comic book movies, like Iron Man. Iron Man was my favorite Marvel character. Iron Man was like a B-lister or a C-lister before the movies came out, but I loved it because it was the closest thing that we had to Gundam. It was a mech suit that he could power and drive, and it was person-sized, but to me that was sort of like a Gundam, and it was a person, and I don't know, it was cool. Who doesn't like armor? And to see him on the big screen, and to see Iron Man so well known and by far the most recognizable character in a live action film, that was fucking amazing. Blew my fucking mind. But, you know, that's the nerd side of me. The Japanese American side of me, the Japanese Chinese American side of me sees these films and wonders, where am I? Like, where's my representation? When do I get to put on the armor and beat the shit out of stuff? Which is why I love Kamen Rider and Super Sentai so much, because I see people like me putting on the armor, kicking the shit out of people. So it's real disappointing. Even though, you know, whitewashing the cast of a live action Japanese film is sort of on brand for manga and anime, it's real disappointing. So that's kind of where my inherent confusion and consternation lies. It's like, yeah, sure, it kind of looks like what it would from the comic. Like, you know, the model of body that the Major chooses is sort of like a generic it kind of looks, well, it doesn't look inherently Japanese, but it kind of has no ethnicity to it, so so that body could blend in and do whatever. But to me, when I saw it, I always thought she would be portrayed as by a Japanese person in the live action. So that's where my disappointment lies. Another piece to this, and I'm almost done, I swear. Another piece to this is everything from the trailer, story-wise, sounds like bullshit. Like, I swear to God, it sounds like an origin story. And I don't care. None of the previous Ghost in the Shell properties, well, except for that the latest one, I think it was like Alive or something like that. But we don't watch that one. But most of the Ghost in the Shell world is based on self-discovery and the question of if your mind is transferred into a robotic body and can be transferred from body to body, are you still you? Do you still have your soul, your ghost, or are you a new entity entirely? That sort of thing. It's the futuristic existentialism. That's the question at the heart of the movies, of the series, all of that stuff. And instead we get what sounds like to be a sort of procedural cop drama, basically a titted up version of RoboCop. Like, oh, I gotta find out who killed me and that kind of stuff. I don't care about that. That's not why people give a shit about Ghost in the Shell. They like the idea of questioning your identity when it comes to, are you because of your brain, or is there more to you because of the wholeness of your body? There's all of this existential questioning that's in the manga and anime and the movie and the television series, and this live action movie seems to be devoid of it. That's just an observation from the trailers, so I will be able to actually report on that when I see the fucking thing. The other thing that worries me is that if this movie is successful, it's gonna pave a way for the live action Akira that they've been kicking around for months. And I have no question about that. If that movie is whitewashed, we're gonna burn the ground down. Not gonna see that. Not gonna support that. This one I'm still a little on the fence, but if Akira is recast and devoid of Asian people, then fuck that movie so hard. So there you go. Those are my rambly thoughts about Ghost in the Shell. I still have lots of conflicts with this whole thing, which I guess goes hand in hand with Ghost in the Shell in general, because it's all about questioning and it's all about self-identity. It's all about figuring out who you are and where you are and what you come from and all that kind of stuff and what makes you you. So there you go. If you have more articulate thoughts, please share them with me in the comments. Yeah, I'll tune back in maybe with a report on the movie. Okay. See ya. Bye.